What is a UCC1 filing, and why does it show up when you sell your home? A UCC1 filing statement is a public record document filed by the solar company against the equipment on your roof. It surfaces in your title search. It has to be released, a UCC3 termination, before title can transfer to the buyer. That release does not happen automatically. You have to verify it. A UCC1 is not a lien on your house in the traditional sense. The solar company is documenting a security interest on the equipment, which technically remains personal property even though it is attached to the roof. But the title company will require it to be handled before closing. One more thing, the absence of a UCC1 is not automatically a clean signal. It can mean the solar company never filed one, which is sometimes harder to manage than a filing that is properly in place. Can I sell my home with leased solar? Yes, you can sell your home with leased solar, but the math is different. When you sell, you have three options. One, the buyer assumes your lease, subject to credit qualification with the solar company and the company's written approval. Two, you buy out of the lease before closing. The buyout is whatever the solar company's calculation produces, which is sometimes a fixed schedule and sometimes the net present value of all remaining payments. And three, you negotiate with the buyer to absorb the buyout as part of the price. What you cannot do is just sell the home and assume the lease disappears. It doesn't. And the solar company controls the timeline, not you. So the work starts the day the listing goes live, not the day you have an offer. Why you should start your solar lease transfer the day you list. Solar lease transfers run on the solar company's calendar, not yours. Some companies require 30 days notice. Some require 60. SunNova has historically required 90. And the buyer's credit qualification process, the company's written approval, the transfer fee, and any required documentation, and the realistic timeline is 2 to 3 months minimum. Your closing window may be 45 days. The math doesn't work. The fix is structural. You do not wait for an offer to start the transfer process. You initiate it the day the listing goes live. By the time you have a buyer in front of you, the solar company's clock is already running and you're working their timeline, not racing it. This is one of the single biggest reasons solar deals stall at closing. And the prevention costs nothing, just timing. Most PPAs include an annual rate escalator, typically between 1.9% and 3.9%, compounded every year for 20 to 25 years. Here's what that actually does. A 15-cent per kilowatt hour rate at a 2.9% annual escalator becomes about 30 cents per kilowatt hour by year 25. The salesperson said the rate would always be lower than the utility. That depended on assumptions about how fast utility rates would rise over a quarter century. Sometimes those assumptions hold. Sometimes they don't. Find the escalator number in your PPA. It's usually called annual adjustment, annual escalator, or price adjustment schedule. Multiply it forward by the years remaining on the contract. Know what you actually signed. If you are selling your home, the buyer's agent will run this math. So should you, before they do. What happens to your solar warranty if your installer goes bankrupt? There are 3 separate warranty layers on most residential solar systems, and they behave very differently when the installer goes out of business. The first is the panel manufacturer warranty. Q-Cells, REC, Maxeon, Canadian Solar, these run directly from manufacturer to system owner. They survive the installer's failure. You just have to register with the manufacturer. The second is the inverter manufacturer warranty. Enphase, SolarEdge, SMA, Fronius, same rule, survives the installer, separate registration. The third is the workmanship warranty. This one is issued by the installer themselves. Roof penetrations, mounting, wiring, labor. When the installer closes, especially in Chapter 7 liquidation, this warranty closes with them. No automatic transfer. An orphaned system is not a worthless system. The equipment may still be under manufacturer warranty for years, but the support structure is fragmented, and you have to be the one to put it back together. Your solar installer went out of business. The first 3 things to do. If the company that installed your solar has gone out of business, here are the first 3 things to do. 1, find out who now collects your payment. The loan or lease almost always transferred to a successor entity. SunNova's contracts now sit with SunStrong Management. Some of Freedom Forever's loans went to GoodLeap. Your monthly statement names the current payee. That is your starting point. 2, pull your original building permit from your municipality. The permit is public record. It names the installer, the equipment, the system size, and the inspection record. On Long Island, older installations may require an in-person visit to the building department. And 3, register your equipment warranties directly with the manufacturers. Panels and inverter. They are still in force. You just have to claim them. Those 3 steps take a few hours. They rebuild the support structure you thought you lost. How to find your solar panel and inverter warranties when the installer is gone. Panel and inverter warranties run directly from the manufacturer to you, not through the installer. So when the installer goes out of business, the warranties don't disappear with them. Identification is the only work here. The panel model is printed on each panel. If you can't access the roof, the building permit your municipality has on file names the equipment. The inverter is usually in the garage or side of the house. Its model number is printed on the unit itself. Major panel brands you will likely see: Q-Cells, REC, Canadian Solar, Maxeon, Panasonic, LG. Major inverter brands are Enphase, SolarEdge, SMA, Fronius. Each has a warranty department. Each can confirm your registration, transfer status, and the remaining term, usually by property address or by serial number. 1 phone call per piece of equipment. That is the work. How to sell a home with solar panels. A complete guide. If you have solar panels on your roof and you're thinking about selling, this is the conversation most agents won't have with you. Most agents weren't trained on it. Here is the whole thing in 3 minutes. The first and most important fact about your sale is which of the 4 contract types you have. You either own the system outright, paid cash, nothing owed. You financed it through a solar loan. You leased it. The solar company owns the equipment. You pay them a fixed monthly fee. Or you have a power purchase agreement, a PPA where you pay per kilowatt hour for the electricity the system produces. Each one creates a completely different sale. Once you know which one you have, the next step is documentation. Pull your contract, every addendum, the last 12 months of statements, your building permit, your monitoring credentials, and any warranty registration. That packet is the foundation of every conversation that comes after. If your system is financed, call the financing company today and request your payoff in writing. Not the current balance, the payoff to sell. Those are sometimes different numbers. I've seen a $29,000 solar agreement come back with a $50,000 payoff. because of a bridge loan structure and an addendum nobody read closely. The fix is to get the real number in writing before you list the property for sale. If your system is leased or under a PPA, the transfer process is on the solar company's calendar, not yours. Some companies require 30 days notice, some require 90, and buyer credit qualification and written approval, and the timeline easily exceeds your closing window. So you start the transfer the day the listing goes live, not an offer. There is almost certainly a UCC-1 filing in your property records, a public record financing statement from the solar company. It surfaces in your title search, and it has to be released before the title can transfer. The release is called a UCC-3 termination. It does not happen automatically. You must verify it. On valuation, owned solar adds documented value to your home, but only when the appraiser gets what they need. The form is Form 82007. Most homeowners have never heard of it. It is the difference between solar showing up in your appraisal and solar being treated as a decoration. Leased and PPA solar do not add appraised value because the equipment is not your property. That is the work. Same house, 4 contracts, 4 different sales paths. The cleanest path is the one that starts before the listing photos go up. This is what we do.